Mark sat in silence, the legal documents spread out before him on the dining table. His mind raced back to the moment his wife, Emma, had approached him with her request. She had hesitated at first, her fingers nervously fidgeting with the edge of her sleeve. "Mark, I've been thinking, maybe we should explore an open relationship." The words had hung in the air like a grenade, its pin freshly pulled. Mark had stared at her, speechless, trying to make sense of what she was saying. They'd been married for 10 years, shared countless memories, and built a life together. Yet, here she was, proposing something that felt like the antithesis of their vows. He asked her why, and she deflected, mumbling something about needing freedom and wanting to explore new connections. Over the next few weeks, Emma became distant. She spent more time on her phone, smiling at messages Mark couldn't see, and started staying out late under the guise of girls' nights. Mark's suspicions grew, and one night, while Emma was asleep, he glanced through her phone. His stomach churned as he read the flirty texts and intimate photos exchanged with a man he'd never heard of. It wasn't an open relationship she wanted. She was already cheating. When he confronted her, she didn't deny it. Instead, she twisted the narrative, accusing Mark of being too controlling, too boring, too stuck in his ways. "This is why I asked for an open relationship," she said coldly. "You're the one who refused to evolve." Her deflection only deepened Mark's sense of betrayal. He filed for divorce the next morning, his lawyer ensuring the process would be swift and fair. But as the days passed, Mark realized he didn't just want closure. He wanted justice. Using his tech skills, he dug into Emma's finances and discovered she'd been using their joint account to fund her secret escapades. Flights, hotel stays, expensive dinners, all charged to the card he'd trusted her with. Quietly, Mark gathered evidence and presented it to his lawyer. This not only strengthened his case for divorce, but also ensured that Emma wouldn't walk away with more than her fair share. Mark also took a more personal approach to his revenge. He contacted the man Emma had been seeing, pretending to be an anonymous well-wisher. He sent screenshots of Emma's texts, showing just how manipulative and deceitful she could be. Within days, Emma's lover had ghosted her. By the time the divorce was finalized, Mark felt a weight lift off his shoulders. Emma tried to reach out, pleading for forgiveness and suggesting they try again. But Mark had made his decision. He was done with her lies, manipulation, and betrayal. Moving forward, Mark focused on himself. He traveled, picked up hobbies he'd long abandoned, and even started dating again. For the first time in years, he felt free. And as for Emma, she was left to grapple with the consequences of her actions alone. Months passed, and Mark's life began to flourish in ways he hadn't anticipated. He found himself rediscovering the person he used to be before his marriage had slowly chipped away at his sense of self. Weekends were now filled with hiking trips, photography sessions, and evenings spent laughing with friends he'd unintentionally distanced himself from during his marriage. One day, while scrolling through social media, Mark came across a post from a mutual acquaintance. It was a picture from a party, and there was Emma, sitting alone in the background. Her smile was gone, replaced by a distant, almost hollow expression. It was clear she was struggling, and while part of him wanted to feel vindicated, he found that he felt nothing. She had made her choices, and now she was living with the consequences. But Emma wasn't finished with her attempts to reel Mark back in. Late one evening, he received a long, rambling email from her. She apologized, claiming she'd made a mistake and that she had never truly stopped loving him. She blamed her actions on a moment of weakness and begged for a second chance, insisting they could rebuild what they had lost. Mark read the email twice, a mixture of disbelief and clarity washing over him. It wasn't that he hated Emma, he didn't. He realized he pitted her. She had thrown away something real for fleeting excitement, and now she was paying the price. Without hesitation, he moved the email to his trash folder. There was no place for her in the new life he was building. A few weeks later, Mark received news from a friend that Emma's financial situation had taken a severe downturn. Her lavish spending habits, once supported by Mark's income, were now catching up with her. Rumor had it she'd been evicted from her upscale apartment and was staying with a friend until she could get back on her feet. Mark decided not to gloat or revel in her downfall. Instead, he used the experience as a reminder of how far he'd come. The revenge he once craved no longer mattered. The best revenge, he realized, was living a life of authenticity, happiness, and self-respect. Not long after, Mark met someone new. Her name was Sophie, and she was nothing like Emma. Sophie was genuine, kind, and shared his love for simple joys like hiking and quiet evenings under the stars. Their relationship grew slowly but steadily, built on trust and mutual respect. For the first time in years, Mark felt what real love was supposed to feel like. As he stood on the balcony of his new apartment one evening, watching the city lights twinkle below, Mark felt a deep sense of peace. The pain Emma had caused was a distant memory, a chapter closed in the story of his life. His journey was proof that even after betrayal, healing and happiness were possible. And as he held Sophie's hand, he knew that the best was yet to come. As Mark's relationship with Sophie deepened, he marveled at how different it felt to be with someone who truly valued him. There were no games, no manipulations, just genuine connection. Sophie encouraged him to pursue his passions, and soon Mark's photography hobby blossomed into a small business. His weekends were now filled with capturing weddings, landscapes, and portraits. Clients praised not only his work, but also his calm, steady demeanor, a testament to the resilience he had built after his tumultuous past. One day, as Mark was packing his camera gear for a sunrise shoot, his phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. Against his better judgment, he opened it. It was from Emma. "I know I'm the last person you want to hear from," the message began, "but I saw your work online, and I just wanted to say I'm proud of you. I hope you're happy. You deserve it." For a moment, Mark considered not responding, but then he realized he had moved on so completely that her words no longer had power over him. He replied simply, "Thank you. I wish you the best too." And that was the last time he heard from her. Months turned into years, and Mark's life became a testament to growth and resilience. He and Sophie traveled together, explored new countries, and even adopted a rescue dog, whom they named Luna. Every day felt like a fresh start, a chance to write a story that was entirely his own. Eventually, Mark and Sophie decided to settle down. On a quiet evening under a canopy of stars, Mark proposed. Sophie's joyful yes echoed through the stillness, and for the first time in his life, Mark felt a profound sense of completion. Their wedding was small and intimate, filled with laughter and love. As they exchanged vows, Mark knew that this time, they were promises he could trust. Looking into Sophie's eyes, he realized that all the pain he had endured had led him to this moment. It wasn't just a happy ending, it was a new beginning. Emma's shadow had long since faded, and Mark's life had become a testament to the idea that true revenge isn't about hurting someone who hurt you. It's about thriving despite them. And thrive, Mark did, with Sophie by his side. The life they built together was everything he'd ever hoped for, and more as the years rolled on. Mark's life continued to flourish. He and Sophie built a strong, unshakable bond, rooted in trust, communication, and mutual respect. They purchased a cozy home in the countryside, complete with a garden where they grew vegetables and flowers. Luna, their playful rescue dog, brought joy and laughter to their days, often bounding through the yard or curling up beside them during quiet evenings. Mark's photography business also thrived. His work was featured in local galleries, and his unique ability to capture raw emotion made him a sought-after artist in the industry. Sophie, a writer, collaborated with him on several projects, pairing his stunning visuals with her heartfelt words to create compelling stories. Together, they became a creative powerhouse, admired by their community. One day, while attending an art fair where Mark's photographs were on display, an unexpected figure approached him. It was Emma. Time had not been kind to her. She looked worn, as if the years of poor choices had finally caught up with her. Her eyes carried a mixture of regret and longing as she stood before him. "Mark," she said hesitantly, "your work is incredible. I'm sorry for everything." Mark smiled politely, his heart untouched by the apology. He no longer needed closure or validation. He had moved so far beyond the pain she had caused that her words felt like echoes of a distant storm. "Thank you, Emma," he replied simply, then excused himself to rejoin Sophie, who was waiting nearby. As he walked away, hand in hand with his wife, Mark felt nothing but gratitude for the life he had built. Emma had been a chapter in his story, but she no longer defined him. His life was now a vibrant tapestry of love, creativity, and fulfillment. Years later, as Mark and Sophie celebrated their 10th wedding anniversary, surrounded by friends, family, and the life they had built together, Mark reflected on how far he had come. The betrayal that once felt like the end of his world had, in fact, been the beginning of something far greater. Mark raised a glass to Sophie, his partner, his muse, and his greatest love. "To us," he said, his voice steady and full of joy. Sophie smiled, her eyes shining with tears. "To us," and with that, they toasted to a life well lived, proof that even the darkest moments can lead to the brightest futures. Years went by, and Mark and Sophie's life continued to unfold in ways they had never imagined. They were now not only partners in life, but also in their creative endeavors. Mark's photography had expanded beyond weddings and portraits to include international travel, and Sophie had found great success as a writer, publishing a best-selling novel that had touched the hearts of many. Their shared work, blending visual storytelling with powerful prose, brought them closer than ever. They began holding art exhibitions and book signings together, traveling the world and meeting people who admired their work. Through all of it, their love remained the foundation. They had become a symbol of what true partnership could look like: unwavering support, deep trust, and a commitment to each other's happiness. The bond they had built, tested by the tumultuous years of Mark's past, stood stronger than ever. They weren't just partners. They were best friends, confidants, and teammates. But even as their happiness bloomed, life had a way of bringing the past back into focus. One evening, as they sat on their porch, sipping wine and watching the sunset, a letter arrived. It was from a lawyer. Mark felt his heart tighten as he opened it, recognizing the familiar name at the top. It was Emma. The letter was brief, yet it carried a weight that made Mark's hands tremble slightly. Emma was in a financial crisis, and she was requesting a loan, something she had never done before, not even when they were married. The letter contained no apologies, only a mention of her dire situation and a plea for help. For a moment, Mark just stared at the letter, the memories of the past flooding back. He could feel the anger that had once simmered beneath the surface, the sense of betrayal, and the bitterness that had defined the early days after their separation. But now, it all seemed so distant, so insignificant compared to the life he had built with Sophie. Sophie, sensing Mark's hesitation, sat beside him. "What are you thinking?" she asked gently. Mark took a deep breath and set the letter down. "I don't know. Part of me wants to help, just to put it all behind me. But another part of me knows that the person who hurt me all those years ago is not someone I owe anything to. I've moved on, Sophie, and I've built a life that I'm proud of." Sophie nodded, understanding the weight of his decision. "It's up to you. But remember, you've already given her something. Your forgiveness, even if she never asked for it." Mark's gaze softened. "You're right. I've moved on. I don't need to carry her baggage anymore. I have enough room in my heart for us, for the life we've created." That night, Mark wrote a short reply. He politely declined the loan, explaining that he was unable to assist her. He wished her well, but made it clear that their paths had irreversibly parted ways. Thanks for watching. Please continue next episode coming soon.